Brodes Media.
Howie Roseman drafted a corner? Oh, I'm pumped. Not only did they get the best corner in the draft, but they also sat there at 22, didn't overreact, didn't over-pursue, realized the board was dropping a certain way because all the quarterbacks went, because all the offensive players went. And I believe deep down, Howie Roseman is like, fuck, no offensive lineman, fuck. I wish I could have drafted up to go get Mims or to go get anybody who could be premier and a fat boy in the trenches. But the way it panned out, I'm sure he's okay. I'm just saying, deep down, oh, did Jeff Stoutland really get excited thinking about some of these names? But anyway, I digress. It was so important for him to chill because a solid stud fell right onto your lap. Last year, Jalen Carter, they did have to move up a little bit, but just think about the excitement of these young kids that are starting to blossom at the NovaCare complex. They're starting to show up, all right? Now we need to, let's do the plant analogy, huh? Let's get the fertilizer, Nick. Let's make sure we water them, Nick. Let them blossom, Nick. You got a serious outside corner that could change your franchise. You got someone to build around who is young with all the intangibles. Take a listen to this kid's story, all right? Go do some research on the type of guy that he is, why he didn't want to leave Toledo to go to a different school, NIL money, go into a bigger program. He feels a connection and felt something strong to stay with Toledo based off of the opportunity that they allowed for him to have and that he earned. But they were open to taking him while maybe some other schools previously weren't until he showed what he could be. And then at that point, he's like, no, come on, motherfucker. You weren't there for me when I was at my lowest. I'm sticking with the people that have my back. And there's something to that. You hear a story with him and his grandmom, and I don't know, man, just like when I don't know him, all right, and I'm not even going to pretend like I watch Toledo college football because I don't. But here's what we need to know about it. He is projected to be one of the best corners in the draft. You can make the argument at Alabama, the fact that Arnold was sitting there, we are going to wonder and question who will be the better of the two. One played at a big school, one didn't. And that doesn't bother me, by the way. There's fantastic talent everywhere. And if there's a personal reason and an agenda on why you stayed and you're looking to replenish fantastic locker room people, and you think that this dude has a way about holding himself accountable, his work ethic, I mean, seriously, these stories that are popping up, previous coaches are talking. I saw from CBS Sports Radio, Zach Gelb actually had on, I believe it was his former coach. And you just listen to the way that he describes what type of person this dude is. His work ethic is like no other. And the fact that we're going to have him here and he's going to help really be a key part to this locker room moving forward, I'm really excited about it. I think he's wired in a way that could go a long way. I think he's got a personality that I think could relate to this fan base. And would I be surprised if by the way he carries himself and his demeanor, just everything about him, what he stands for, I think it relates. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going far out here and saying he's just going to be one of the old-timers in town because it's pretty damn hard to crack that. But I think he has a makeup that could, as long as he can go play. But the experts tell us that he has what it takes to be an it guy, to be a Darius Slay. He could be a Darius Slay in an Eagles uniform the whole time. And don't be one of those idiots and one of those stupid Eagles fans that think Darius Slay can't do anything. The fact that you're getting this, and he's made it this long in his career, and this is where he's at now after all the wear and tear and all the dominant seasons, to still make this level of impact and be a number one, I'm going to match up against your best, and I'm going to be one of those. He's great, and for some reason he gets a ton of backlash that is unwarranted in my opinion. If you can get that full ride from a Quinyon Mitchell. All right, let's take a listen. Zach Gelb speaking to the head coach of Toledo about Quinyon Mitchell. Take a listen.
He had a top 30 visit with the team this year. He stays overnight in that particular city. They fly him back on a 6 a.m. flight. Um, I look out of my window and he's in the 10 o'clock a.m. workout group running with our guys.
Wow.
And they're running, they're training. They're not, hey, we're going to condition because spring football's over. We go right into 2 weeks of real training to preview the summer. And man, oh man, a guy that's a first round draft pick, he's on a top 30 visit. He gets a 6 a.m. flight. He's back in Detroit at, whatever time, 8 o'clock, and he's in his car and he's here to be in a workout and he's right there running with the guys that he played college football with. You can't make that up, and then you can't script that, and nobody's telling him to do that. His agent's not telling him to do that. I'm not telling him to do that. That's just who this guy is each and every day. And once you make light to that story, that's pretty much all they really ask about, because that speaks to the character of the young man.
I love it. I really, really do love it. Now, it asks the question, what do you do when you now assess the room? Because the cornerback room has a lot of people, and some of those kids, see ya! I see too much faith in these kids. Eli Rex! No! You know what I want? Quinyon Mitchell! That's what I want! Quinyon Mitchell! That level of pop! That level of flair! Eli Rex! Josh Jobe! Get those guys out of here, and same with you, Bradbury! Now, apparently, Mitchell said to the media when he spoke after he got drafted, I'll play wherever. I could play inside. I could play outside. Oh, you could play inside, huh? I mean, it's going to be hard for me to believe that Avonte Maddox out of nowhere will stay healthy for a full season. And Isaiah Rodgers finally got reinstated back to the league and with the squad because he was delayed. He was delayed maybe a couple of days when there was a big portion of people reinstated. His name wasn't mentioned. Now we're all wondering what happened now. What's Howie holding behind closed doors here? All right, what's he holding back from the people? But no. Speaking of Howie, by the way, remember how there was actually a national media member that said he's hearing the Eagles are trading up for a wide receiver? No, that was not going to happen. Or the Eagles might go and get Bowers. No, not going to happen. And I don't even think that they would have traded up as long as there was no tackles left. There were no offensive linemen left. Then maybe if they felt that someone was going to pick Mitchell. But at that point, the board would have fell where they still would have stayed at 22 and maybe got Arnold or would have gotten someone else that they deem is in that same range where it's not worth utilizing another asset, losing a second-round pick, losing a second or excuse me, a mid-round pick or something to move up. However it works out, we're not making that massive of a jump off of our big board to do it. They'd probably sit 22 anyway. See, the thing is, it was by default. It was by default that they landed on corner. It wasn't out of this internal, I need it. I don't think Howie's thrilled because it's almost you guys were right, corner is where we went. He always wants to zig every time the fan base wants him to zag. So he's always trying to prove that he's right. But anyway, getting back on track, I am curious how this is all going to work out with Bradbury, where he plays on the field. But I'm excited to see it because what I really wanted, and I could have lived with a lot of good scenarios here. I would have been okay with an offensive lineman. I would have been okay with a cornerback. I would have been okay with a defensive end if it could have been, I don't know, let's look at Florida State, for example. I mean, I'm just saying there could have been names all around the field that would have absolutely got me excited, and this was one of them. And the fact you didn't have to move up and you still keep together what you can do on later days in the draft weekend, they're still ready to come swinging with the second round and bring in two premier players. All right, you don't get any pass that it's the second round, the hit rate's not the same. No. I want you to hit, and I want you to have a draft similar to when you found Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox, Josh Sweat, Jordan Mailata. I mean, these guys all panned out and helped out to a certain level here. It's time to do that again. It's time to have a massive draft again. I'm excited. I wanted a serious young kid that could grow outside corner role. Howie's done a good job over the years of getting a Darius Slay, getting a James Bradbury that hit. They took the flyer on Sidney Jones that didn't pan out, even though he had the injury, which was a concern prior to the draft, and that backfired heavily. It was time. It was time, and then the board fell for you for it to definitely be the time, and you didn't overthink this. You didn't overdo it. You didn't over-pursue. You played it perfectly well, and it's just awesome.